Well, good morning to you all. How are you? And welcome to American Reversion. I want to talk about the destruction of America. Most of you understand. You've been following along what's happened in our world. Since the day you were born, and certainly recently. But I think that there's a confusion among many, and I have to admit that I suffer from it myself a bit, as to whether this is being done on purpose or simply accidentally through stupidity and a misdirected insanity, if any insanity can be properly directed. We go back and forth on this. Well, I want to read you something, and of course I have said, and many of you understand yourselves, that there is a concerted effort to destroy the United States of America. And how long this has been going on is arguable. We could talk about recently, we can talk about the last 100 years, we could talk about the last 200 years. It doesn't matter. What we're dealing with is what we're dealing with now. And I read some time ago the goals. I read it out of The Naked Communist by Skousen. I read the 45 goals of the American Communist Party. Well, I want to read you something here today that it is just going to, it's going to give you another peek into the, I don't know whether we should call it insanity or I don't even know. There's probably not a word, well, there probably is a word, I just don't know it, right, that would sufficiently describe what's going on in the mind of this person, okay, and these people. And it's a Fox News article. I'll read a little bit of it, and then when I put this on the Patreon channel, of course, I'll leave the link so you can see the whole thing and that you can share it with other people. And it says, woke kindergarten teacher calls for the destruction of America. We've been trying to end y'all. End y'all. I know I say y'all sometimes myself. And probably many of you do too, depending on where you live and where you grew up, right? Well, I want to read this. And woke kindergarten is apparently a program. And I'll just read this, then we'll talk about it a bit. A San Francisco Bay Area elementary school was trained by an organization called Woke Kindergarten, whose leader wants to see America and Israel destroyed as countries, according to posts on social media. According to the website, the head of the organization is Ikea Gross, who identifies as a they-them, big surprise, who is an abolitionist, early educator, cultural organizer. This is, again, I guess, from the website, describing Ikea Gross. It's gross, too. I mean, the thought process of this person. You're going to want to hear this. Stay with me on this, and share this. It describes they/them as an abolitionist, early educator, cultural organizer, and creator, currently innovating ways to resist, heal, liberate, and create with their pedagogy. That means their interface, their way of teaching, woke kindergarten. Okay. I believe, this is gross, I believe the United States has no right to exist. I believe every settler colony who has committed genocide against native peoples, against indigenous people, has no right to exist. Gross said in a recent Instagram post, y'all the demons. Y'all are the villains. We've been trying to end y'all, get free of y'all. Okay, yeah, I'll tell you what. There's misunderstandings there. First off, I will agree. You've heard me say it before, probably, that what we did to the Indian was horrible. It was the first lesson of not trusting the government. But the thing is that the Indians had done that to each other for centuries, for probably millennia, okay? Wiping each other out, enslaving each other. There has never been a culture that did not act like this. This is called conquering. I won't say that I'm sorry about what happens to the people, because this is what happens to people. It's what happened to people for forever, since there's been people. One group wanted to take what the other group had, and either took it or didn't, and it's whoever wins. Okay, so this is an asinine statement, as you all know. That going back to indigenous people, who were the indigenous people? The indigenous people who were enslaving and slaughtering each other before the non-indigenous settler colonies ever came. So this is ridiculous, but it's a peek into how this person thinks. And they them also believe in a free Palestine from the river to the sea. They probably don't have a clue as to what's going on over there. Okay, Gross's curriculum materials have been used in numerous schools. Woke kindergarten is described on its website as, quote, supporting children, families, educators, and organizations in their commitment to abolitionist early education and pro-black and queer and trans liberation. They're trying to destroy this country and every other country, and they're doing a good job of it. I'll get back to my thoughts on that in a minute. In another post from January, Gross reiterated their stance on America. Okay, when I think about a world free of state violence, I think about a world free of the U.S. empire. I think about a world free of Israel. I think about land back to indigenous. Okay, now wrap your head around, grab on to something. You're gonna need to hang on to listen to this next. I think about land back to indigenous peoples globally. I think about the fact that we would not have to participate in these systems, because none of these systems would exist. That means kids wouldn't have to go to school, because the world would ultimately be their classroom. Well, we have places without schools, and they're called undeveloped countries, okay? You have to wonder how many drugs a person has to take to be this vacuous of critical thinking. Okay, so the kids, the world would be their classroom. Yeah, okay. Kids would learn from it. I'm not saying that a lot of kids wouldn't like that. I would have liked it. I used to look at the way the Indians lived and said, wow, that'd be cool. Not have to go to school, just kind of, wander around and run around and live in the teepee and move and shoot buffalo and, not have, and there is a reason, why that culture, which I have to admit, I think in many ways is kind of cool, okay? But that culture never invented the wheel, okay? So there you go. So a world without schools, we would end up, there's places like that, then in South America and Africa, and, Okay, here I did not mean to misgender this person. They, them, continues. Kids would learn with us. They would learn from us. We would learn from them. We would create these ecosystems of community care that would make sure that everybody had what they needed, so nobody would want for anything. Okay, and these cultures, many of whom starved to death, still starving to death in Africa. That's why we, as a country and churches and everything, having to send billions of dollars to Africa, and it still never seems to help. Okay, so nobody would want for anything. We would hear music. We would hear music everywhere. Really, from where? Where's the music coming from? Where is the music coming from? I could tell you a story. Oh man, I will tell you this story. Some people are going to think that this is racist. It's not. I used to go to a church, a very, very large church. It's a church, one of the last ones that made me stop churching. And I'm going to talk about it on the church channel here one of these days. And we were all there. And this church was very big in sending a lot of money to Africa. Okay, to dig wells for water and all sorts of things. And so we were at church one day, Kelly and I, and the pastor came out and said he had a very special, wonderful, unbelievably beautiful experience for us, and he brought a bunch of people up on stage. They were people that the church had brought over from Africa, from a village, and it was some adults and then some teens and some younger children, and they were going to sing us a song. And so they went at it, and I'll tell you what, if it was a song, I didn't hear the music in it. It was a bunch of stomping and hooting and hollering, and no melodic aspect to it at all. I never got the beat, and yes, I can get a beat. I understand beats, okay? And not the kind you eat. I have a good beat if I want to have a beat. There was no beat. There was no cohesion within this, jumping around and spouting off about stuff. And it was the most ludicrous, almost. Well, it was an embarrassment to watch, to be honest. It was, we wondered what in the world is going on, and everybody. And I was looking at Kelly, and she was looking at me, and we go, "What in the world?" And the whole audience just watched in rapt attention. And when this mess was over, the whole place erupted in applause. And the pastor came back out and thanked them so much for bringing this musical genius to us so that we could enjoy it and we could experience. I mean, he went on and on and on. It was one of the last straws that I had with his church. And it had nothing to do with, I mean, if they want to bring the kids over and teach them what real music is, and I don't mean beating on a log, that's one thing, but to bring them over to thrust this on us and tell us that this is so wonderful, that's what you get when you have a world without schools. Okay? A world without high expectations. And I'm thinking, compare that. Compare that with Rachmaninoff and Chopin and Beethoven and Bach. Compare that. Compare cave drawings with the Dutch masters. Okay, we really have to get real with this stuff and say everything that has been created, for the most part, and we've created some bad things too, but you look at the things that have been built, you look at the epitome of culture, of art, of music, of whatever you want to, It's the Western culture that has developed it. Very, very simple. Very simple. We have to understand, and we have to promote that. Okay, so back to this idiot, they, them. We would hear music everywhere. I guess, I don't consider thumping on a stump with a stick music. We will make art out of everything. Really? I don't consider scratching on a rock with a piece of charcoal art. Sorry. We'll be able to write so much more poetry. Really? Really? Because we would have so much joy in ourselves that we would need some place to move it, some place for it to land. The people would have the power, and the kids would have more too. Now, there's more. Gross also believes that there are extraterrestrial beings that are being oppressed. Oh no! Solidarity, they them continue, with all oppressed beings, in all caps. That's what I meant. How I feel and what I should have said. Human, non-human, animal, and extraterrestrial alike. Universally, infinitely, always, he says. So, Glassbrook Elementary in Hayward, California spent $250,000 in federal funds provided by a program meant to help boost test scores for some of the country's lowest performing schools, according to the San Francisco Chronicle. But after 2 years with woke kindergarten, student scores were reportedly worse. Can you believe that? How could they possibly be worse with a curriculum like this, right? Less than 12%, get this, less than 12% of the students can read at their grade level, and under 4% are proficient in math, a 4% drop in both subjects in the last 2 years, okay? That's what you get when you get a culture without schools, or a culture that has been allowed to call BS schooling. But so they go through explaining, this was not. Hayward Unified School District Superintendent Jason Ryman told the Chronicle that hiring woke kindergarten had board approval and apparently was more about boosting attendance than test scores. He said attendance had gone up almost 20%. You think that had anything to do with the free breakfast, free lunch, and free dinner? Helping students feel safe and whole is part and parcel of academic achievement. No, it's not. No, it's not. Academic achievement is measured by reading, writing, and arithmetic. That's it. Okay? It's not about being safe and whole. And this is where they get it. I get that it's more money than we would have liked to have spent. Some idiot said, oh, that was Ryman. We are in favor 100% of abolishing systems of oppression where they hold our students back. What I do believe is we should pick providers based on their work and how effective they are. That guy's as big an idiot as the they-them that makes up this woke kindergarten. Guys, here's the thing. This is part and parcel of the destructive, the program, the purposeful program to destroy not just the United States, but the West. It is an ideology developed and shared by communists, not the smart ones, the ones that realize that there's two classes in communism, the rich and the slaves, but everybody else. The idealists to the point where, oh my gosh, if the world could just be perfect, and the danger is that so many people believe it. So many people believe it, and not just people in the area where this program was thrust upon these kids and ruined them. Now, hopefully some of them can be saved by Western culture, capitalism, but by so many of the people around us. The guilty suburbanites, the people in the smaller towns and rural areas who think that it doesn't affect them, and so they don't concern themselves with it. But it's those guilty, and I'll say it, the guilty whites, who instead who feel somehow guilty about requiring accomplishments, who are actually so racist in their thoughts that they feel like these groups cannot elevate themselves to a standard of accomplishment the rest of us do. So they treat them like perpetual children, and through the guilt of the guilty whites, these communists and the people who don't want to try and want to continue to excuse their failure by saying it's the result of oppression is what allows this to continue. This is, and these are the seeds of the destruction, not just of the United States, but of the West. Now, let me throw something in here too before I bring this to a conclusion, because I have a couple more videos to make today about this stuff. Not just this, but other things. People have said, I won't say that people have accused me, people have asked me, well, Steve, you said this and then you said that. And what they mean by this is, well, sometimes I will say that I think that it's over. I don't think there's any hope for bringing this thing back. Okay? And then they'll say, but you say that we should keep fighting. And there's no hope. Well, let me put it this way, and if you all read or listened to me read Hondo Bob's piece the other day, you can understand the reason for my hope, okay? And the reason for many people's hope. We have to hope. We know that things have been every bit this bad at other times and other places. Now, many times, the result of that was a complete collapse and destruction of the culture. Got it? So do I believe that our culture and our country can be saved? I don't know. And let me say something to the person who's going to come on and say, it can't be. You don't know either. But I'm going to continue to fight. And if you don't continue to fight, you have quit. And I don't understand quitting in a battle against what we know to be wrong and evil. We may not win this time, this round, I don't know. But we will assuredly lose if we don't fight. And in this case, the fight is a cultural fight, and it's a political fight. Remember, Rush used to tell us, he says, it's not time to worry. I will tell you when it's time to worry. Well, I wonder what Rush would tell us now. Don't you? I wonder if he would tell us it's time to worry. And with so many things going on, and I'll make another one about this, I think it might be time to worry. But it's not time to stop fighting. Okay? All right. I'll leave that with you. I'm going to ask if you would you give this a thumbs up? I have no doubt that they're suppressing this channel. And for the person who says, who are they? If you don't know who they are, I can't help you now. It's too late. I'm sure they're suppressing the channel. Please help me get the word out. Please help me get this message out. Please give it a thumbs up. Please leave a comment. Please make sure you're subscribed. And please share this with as many people as you can think of. And thank you, by the way, for those of you who have let me know you've shared it with your groups, you've shared it with your friends, you've shared it on Facebook, you've shared it on Twitter, you've shared it. Thank you so much. That's the way we get these things out. Okay. So keep doing it. Remember that America needs a reversion. It needs you to be a part of it. Doesn't mean need you to be a spectator of it. It needs you to be a part of it. It needs every one of us to be a part of it. And let's do everything we can. Okay? All right. You all have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.